not the captain of this fine program, and why are you interrupting me? I'm not the captain? Who's the captain? Craig is the captain. He's 13 years old. Fine. He's the captain. Welcome back, my friends. You're here with the co-pilot, and you really must stop interrupting me. I'm not the co-pilot either. Libertines is the co-pilot. Well, if Craig's the captain and Libs is the co-pilot, what am I? A flight attendant. Wow. What's wrong with my life? Well, titles are unimportant, folks. What is important is that I'm here to explain to you this system. Some call it smart dice, some call it wicked dice, but it's a system of rolling to determine football. It's what we're going to base this league off of. Ran by some questionable leadership, but hey, we could always coup later, can't we, folks? The wicked dice was created by Rylock and myself to best capture the sport of football into a format that we could all enjoy together. So I'm going to transition over to the first screen to explain to you how it works. The first thing you have to understand if you're going to play any game is how your character works. So I'm going to take you to one of the different positional trees and show you what it looks like and explain to you how it works. So I decided to go with the quarterback because that's the least important position, so why does not give it a little bit of shine, you know what I mean? At level 1, you're going to be a base quarterback. That's this. And if you look at this tree, there's obviously a progression that's going on here. You hit these different points as you gain experience. As you gain experience, you gain levels. And at certain levels, you get these different branches on the tree. The first branching point is at level 2. You make a decision of whether you're going to become a pocket passer or a mobile quarterback. And I'll explain to you what the differences between those are in a little bit, but I just want you to look at this tree. The mobile quarterback reaches another branching point when he decides whether he's going to become an improviser or a scrambler. The pocket passer, at the same level as the mobile quarterback makes his decision, becomes either a drop back quarterback or a game manager. And this continues through their whole time. They continue making decisions of what kind of quarterback they want to be until they eventually reach the final stage. Whether they're going to be Colt Brennan and destroy the world in Hawaii with those abilities, or whether they want to be Andrew Luck and be the master of the West Coast. So going back to a base quarterback. What is a base quarterback? Well, let's take a glance. Every base type, every player is a base position at level 1. And that means their 400 ratings have been put into very specific schemes. They have been distributed across the 8 different schemes we have. And I'll explain to you what the schemes are a little bit later, but I just want you to take a glance at this. A base quarterback has 45 man blocking, 45 zone blocking, 50 option, 45 smash mouth, etc. These are how his points are distributed. But if you're looking at this, you might say, well, one of these looks a lot different than the others. This is only 5. Why has he got so few of this? Well, as you see, this is a 9th category. This is not one of the schemes. This is not one of his attributes points. These are free points. These are the points you get at level 1 to put wherever you want. This is how one of the ways you customize your character. You could decide, I want my base quarterback to be better in the option than 50. I want him to be option master, and you put all 5 into the option. Or you could say, I want my quarterback to be a little bit better in 5 categories. I'm going to put 1 in each. Or however you want to split it up, it's your decision. And every time you level up, you're getting free points. Almost always, you're getting 5. But sometimes, at key levels, you get 10. And you get to really increase. But what is this category? It's a lot more than 5. It's the archetype points. This is what determines this over here. 15 points from the base quarterback makes you the pocket passer. So has the pocket passer just picked up 15 points from a base quarterback? That's actually not what happened. The pocket passer has increased 20 points from the base quarterback, but it's also taken a 5-point hit and because those points got redistributed somewhere else. So let's look at where the pocket passer is better than the base quarterback. He's better at the spread. He's better at the run and shoot. He's better at verticals. And he's better in man blocking, all by 5 for a total of 20. But he's worse in the option by 5. A pocket passer has not spent any of his time in college developing to be an option quarterback. It's not his forte. So he has lost 5 in that category. And as you continue to progress, you'll see those ratings get redistributed from one area that you might not like to another area. But you always get the free points. And those free points are not added here because they have nothing to do with the archetypes. That's just how you customize and how you build. I'm going to take a quick glance over at the mobile quarterback to see the differences. Where the base quarterback and the pocket passer didn't increase in the West Coast, the mobile quarterback got 10 better here. He got 10 better in the spread. He took a hit in the run and shoot, and he took a hit in the verticals. He also got better at option and didn't get any increase to the man blocking scheme, the standard running scheme that the base quarterback increased when he went to a pocket passer. And this is how he changed. He lost 10, he gained 25 for a net of 15. And as he gets better, as he makes his choices, he continues to do this all the way until the final branches of the mobile quarterback side, where you could become a Robert Griffin III, a Marcus Mariota, a Cam Newton, or a Lamar Jackson. And they're all different. You'll get there eventually. This stuff is when you're a senior. You're not going to sniff this for a long time. But this is a quarterback tree. This is how the characters work. So besides being bored, we now understand what a character looks like, but we still don't really understand those rating points. Why does it matter if you have more West Coast versus Smash Mouth scheme proficiency? So I'm going to take you over to a team page and explain to you the goal of why you are building the way you're going to choose to build. So just a quick update. You might be 10, 15 minutes into this video. I'm 2.5 hours into the process of making it, and I have unreal respect for any YouTuber, any streamer, any guy who has, or lady, who has mastered this craft, because I'm terrible at it, and I would have find where Craig is in West Virginia and kick him in his little butt, because this shit is not easy. But I love y'all, so let's continue. This is a blank team page, and the only article on this team page is Toys Mobile Quarterback. This mobile quarterback has all the archetype points of a normal mobile quarterback, but he has 10 additional points. My 10 free points that I would have at level 2, they're reflected here, and I've invested all 10 of them into the option. So a normal mobile quarterback would have 55 option, but mine has 65 option. And the reason why I brought you to this page is because I'm trying to show you why the scheme proficiencies matter. This is going to have the reflection of the entire team. Now, this team is empty. It doesn't have anybody but my quarterback. But even at the start of your coach's team, when he only has one player on it, it's going to have all these base players, because there's going to be 5 base offensive linemen in whatever scheme he chooses, and they will have average about 50 across the schemes, because everyone has 400 ratings, and your points and the points you choose and your archetype points all add together for what your team's proficiency is in these schemes. And I'll show you in just a minute why that matters, but I'm going to give you an example of the dominant team Craig built and crushed David's team during the test run we did a couple of days ago. This is University of Kentucky. This is Craig's Wildcat team. And the plays aren't important right now. So Craig made 7 level 2 characters, and he put all of his points in one of 3 schemes: man blocking, run and shoot, and the West Coast. All of his players' points went into these 3 schemes. He punted defense entirely. These are all base players on the defense, and he focused only in these 3 schemes. So if you look at his team's overall ratings, he can't do option for shit. He's 530. He's terrible at the option. But he's got 625 in the West Coast. He has 600 in the run and shoot, and he has 590 in the man blocking. And to be honest, Craig didn't even quite understand the whole system, so he could have even made it better if he had tried harder, but clearly didn't, since he kicked David left and right across that field. But he put all of his points into these three systems and made his team into a dominant force in these three systems. And there's obvious upside to funneling all of your abilities into a few systems. But there's also downsides, because each system is going to work really well against some opposing systems. Like my option quarterback, if we build a whole option team, is going to work really good against some defensive systems, but it's going to get tore up by others. So if you are really good in 2 or 3 systems and you happen to get a good matchup, you could just knock people around. But if you happen to get a bad matchup, it's over, because you can't do anything. So there's there's going to be teams that are going to go more versatile and be very dominant because they can make matchup changes, especially at halftime. And there's going to be teams that are going to focus into certain areas and just catch you by surprise and just slap you around. So there's no wrong way to go about building your character, and there's no wrong way to go about building your team. You need to make a character that's reflective of what you want it to be, and you need to, and as a coach, you need to look at your players' abilities and try to find a strategy to maximize everybody. So I'm going to take you over to a screen that take 7. Now I'm going to take you over to a screen that shows how the different schemes interact with each other, so you have a better understanding of why some schemes are going to be good in some scenarios and not so good in others. So we're about to one-take this, gentlemen. I believe in us. This is how the different schemes interact with each other. In row 1, you have the names of all the 8 defensive schemes. And let's say man blitz, just for example, this column B, 2 all the way to B9, this is the row of how man blitz interacts with our 8 offensive schemes. And in row A, these are the names of all the 8 offensive schemes. And just like that, I'm going to go with man blocking. This is how man blocking interacts with all the 8 defensive schemes. So let's just take the first example we have. A man blocking run, or pass, because you could pass out of the man blocking scheme, is when it interacts with a man blitz, is a orange result. An orange result means it's good for the defense, and there's a number here. That number is 10. The number represents the percentage decrease of the total proficiency in that scheme. So we're going to go real quick back to UK. Craig's team, if he was in a man blocking, his 590 would decrease by 10% when you interact with man blitz. So 590 would lose 59 points, and he'd be 531. That's the math I'm going with. If it's not right, I really don't care. That's where he would be. And what does that mean? Why does it matter if you're 590 or 531? I'll tell you right now. So this is the most important page of the whole spreadsheet. This is the heart of the Wicked Dice system. And I will expand and show you the whole page in just a little bit. But first I want to focus on that 590 versus 531 dilemma. This right here is that number. This column is year 1, so this is how we're starting off the different thresholds. So at 5, if you are at any number, no matter what your number is in the scheme, you get to roll a d4 to decide what your result of your play is going to be. But as your scheme proficiency goes up as a team, you unlock these other die. You lock in year 1. We're going to unlock a D6 at 575. That 590 is in there. At 625, you unlock a D8. At 675, you unlock a D10. At 725, you unlock a D12. And if you can get to 775, you unlock a D20. That's gangbusters. And in case you're not familiar with what D means in this context, that's why there's a dice up here. It's the dice that you roll. So if you have a 6-sided dice, when you roll it, you can get anything from a 1 to a 6. And why does that matter? Well, you want to be able to get the highest number possible. Because say you roll your dice, and say you get, you know what, I won't even say, I'll just show you what happens. So in this scenario we're about to see, you'll get to watch the dice roll. The offense is going to have a 6-sided dice, and the defense is going to have a 4-sided dice, and we're going to find out what happened. So anybody who has seen the first, this is just a side antidote real quick, anybody who saw the first video knows and is crossing their fingers for me right now because the dice didn't work. It was a stupid bug that I knew exactly what was going wrong as it happened, but I didn't have the time to fix it. So root for your boy Toy. Let's hope everything is working right. So I'm about to roll our 2 example dice. Offensive dice is going to be blue for Kentucky, and the defensive dice is going to be red for San Diego State Aztecs. And remember, the offensive dice in this scheme that we set up is going to be a 6-sided dice, and the defensive dice is going to be a 4-sided dice in this scheme. So let's see what happens. First up is the offense. Far from our best result, the offense, even though it had a potential of getting 6, only rolled a 2. But now we get a roll for the defense. What's going to happen? Uh-oh, folks. The defense just rolled a 4. This is huge. This is something I didn't hope was going to happen right here because this is a whole nother category, but it happened, so we're going to roll with it. It got the maximum potential it could have gotten. That's what we call an explosion. When you get an explosion, well, it triggers the potential for an explosion. You have to roll that dice again to see if it continues. So one more time, we'll see if it happens. Ooh, came really close. Didn't get another 4, so the explosion doesn't happen here. I'll explain that in a little bit. So the 2 results we have, the offense got a 2, the defense got a 4. What's going to happen next? So we have a net -2 on the play for the offense. 4 minus 2 is -2. This is the whole screen. You only got to see a little piece of it before. I'm going to just show you it for just a second so you can see it, and then I'm going to enlarge it and show you what happens next. -2 on this. Well, I guess I got to show you the whole thing. So this column right here is your major results table. This is the primary results table. The best you can ever have is 19, because remember, 20 plus -1. The worst you can have is -19. These are extremely hard to get to. Not going to happen season 1. But this is the whole results table. You roll the number, and then this over here is your result. You roll a 10. It's a big play. I'll tell you what that is in a second. But remember, we're on a -2. I'm going to make that bigger. The -2 is a small loss. And what is a small loss? Well, a small loss is a lot of things. Depends on what type of play type it is. And this isn't the same as a scheme. A play type and a scheme are very different. A play type, a scheme is man block, zone block, verticals. A play type is an inside run. Like let's say a halfback dive. That's an inside run. You can do that in verticals. You can do that in a man blocking scheme. You can do that in a zone blocking scheme. You're just sending your running back through the middle. So if you're in a inside run and you got a small loss, that's this column here. Inside run, small loss. Here are your 6 different potential results. I'll roll another dice, this time a d6, and depending on what the result of that dice is the result of the play. Let's say we roll that d6 right now and it comes up as a 2. That's no gain. Even though it's a small loss because you're doing a safe inside run, it's just you run into the defender at the line, he hits you, you don't get anything. If it's a 4, you roll a d4 and you minus it by 2. So you roll a d4, let's say you get a 1, you minus it by 2, that's a negative 1 yard. That's not what you want to see. Instead of advancing towards the end zone, you're taking a step back. That's a small loss. If you happen to be in a outside running scheme where you're trying to run outside and bang it to the sidelines, you're going to roll a d6 plus 4. So it's a negative d6 plus 2 rather. What does that mean? So a negative number, so you roll the d6, it rolls as a 5, that's negative 5, that's losing 5 yards. But there's a plus 2. So you lose 5 yards, plus 2, you lose 3 yards. That's a much worse result than what would happen with the inside run. And if you look over here to the passes, if it's a short pass, it's kind of hard to get a small loss with a short pass. So all the small loss column for the short pass, when we roll a dice, it's an incomplete pass. It just hits the sideline. With a long pass, 5 of them also just hit the ground, incomplete pass. But one of them is actually going to be a loss of yards. He passes it to an end zone as a dump off, and you lose an X number amount of yards. And that's how the whole game works. You roll dice, they oppose each other, and the results lead you to one of these. First, the results lead you to this over here, the main results table, and then we interpret that main results table into one of these smaller tables. This is why my man Craig calls it the smart dice. We've put a lot of effort into it. It's even more complicated than I explained to you already. But the explosion. Okay, I'll explain that to you right now. Remember how we got that 4? And we rolled another time? If we had on our second roll gotten to a 4 again, that's a total of 8. We're even closer to the explosion. We would have to roll that d4 a third time. If that d4 was a 4 again, 3 consecutive 4s, that gets to 12. And the reason 12 is important, because 12 is the threshold for an explosion. If you get to an explosion, you get to keep all the dice you rolled. So with the d4, the maximum could be is 12, because you don't get to roll a fourth time. But so instead of being a negative 2 for the defense, if it was an explosion, if he had gotten it, he would have been, instead of 4, it would have been 12. So 12 minus the positive 2 would have been 10. So that would have been a turnover. Remember, we're doing an inside run. So a turnover for an inside run is one of these results. Look at what they are. Here's the different things for the turnovers. If there was explosion for the defense, 2d10 yards, then a fumble. What does that mean? You roll 2 10-sided dice. Let's say the first dice comes up a 5, the second dice comes up a 3. That's 8 yards. Your ball carrier advances the ball 8 yards, and then he fumbles it. He could fumble at the line of scrimmage. He could lose yards, and then he could fumble it, or he could fumble it, and then the offense picks the ball up and returns it 5 yards. That's technically the same thing as this. Let's say this is 5, and let's say 2d4 ends up being 5. But me and David will read it, and we'll interpret it different, and we'll say it different. So while you're watching, you could see your defensive player pick the ball up and carry it back. And this is how the game's going to work. And it's going to be fun, and I'm super stoked to share it with you guys. And I'm thankful that we got through it. And anybody who's keeping score, I one-taked exactly one of these segments, and it was glorious because I called it in advance because, you know, that's how Toy do. The dice actually rolled, which is kind of important since it's a dice game. And, yeah, we're doing things. We're going places. I mean, not together, but we are going places. Love you, folk.